today's topic is trusting your gut. And I think I think it's an important topic because there's a wisdom that's beyond our intellect that's available to us through our intuition. And cultivating our intuition is probably now more important than ever. So we're going to dig in and talk about that. I'm excited about it. So before we get started, let's just take a minute to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold it and imagine sparkling, clean, crisp oxygen just flowing into your lungs and moving into your bloodstream and nourishing all the cells in your body and all your organs. And as you exhale, maybe roll your shoulders and just allow the tension to move out of your body. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose. Hold it, and this time imagine sparkling white light coursing through every molecule of your being, just lighting you up from the inside out and letting those molecules interact with the environment and connect you with the universe beyond. And as you exhale, just exhale any remaining tension. And now let's just gently press our palms together really softly and gently, softly rub your fingers against your palms and feel the tingling and tickling in your fingers and in your palms and just the deliciousness of that. Allow yourself to be present to it and enjoy it and bring yourselves right here, right now. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm really glad to be here with you this morning. And I'm so glad to share this time together. I'm Today's conversation is about trusting your gut. And I actually spoke about this the other day when talking about trying to navigate this crazy environment about the trust and truth and the erosion of our trust in the externalities that we're presented with. And I think consequently that can potentially be something that erodes our trust in ourselves because we don't know what to think. And there's nothing more disempowering and paralyzing than confusion, I think. Anyway, what happened to prompt this conversation is I have a podcast with my co-founder, Scott Billy, and I did an interview recently, and Scott had done a pre-interview with somebody. And, I just, before launching the interview, I just didn't feel okay about it just felt like there was something really off about the the conversation and what it was that was being represented. And I just didn't feel comfortable with it. And it may be that in the past I may have overridden my gut feeling or not. I don't know if I would have or not, frankly. But I had this just queasy feeling, and I spoke with Scott about it. And by the way, you can find our podcast at sustainabilitynow.global if you want to check it out. There's great information from lots and lots of people talking about all different kinds of things related to sustainability. But anyway, interestingly, and to his credit and my gratitude, Scott honored my gut feeling about this, and I did a little bit of further research into the topic and the person and the company that we were that we had interviewed, and found something that sort of solidified my concerns or validated my concerns, even though I hadn't really had a lot of information prior to that. And so uh, we decided to communicate with this person, apologize for wasting their time, and just said that we didn't really feel comfortable airing this interview. And I then got an email back in response that further validated my concerns. And the reason that I'm sharing this is that it was really uncomfortable to honor my intuition, to honor my knowing. And I think that we dodged a bullet in a big way due to my paying attention to the small signals. And maybe they weren't even so small. I mean, I had several signals that just sort of set me like, I'm not so sure about this. And I think that culturally, in so many ways, we are trained out of paying attention to this other knowing, to this intuition, to this feeling, this gut feeling, or this sense of something being awry that we might not have rational reasons for, but we just have this strong sense. And I think that the notion of calling it a sense is really, really important and accurate in recognizing what's going on, because our minds process information on a certain level, and we have a tremendous capacity to rationalize and justify. I know that I have done that a lot in my past, in my life, before I started honoring my gut feelings, where I've had strong signals about something that I chose to ignore. And in ignoring those signals, I set myself up for all kinds of pain and suffering that I didn't have to experience, and that I could have avoided if I had paid attention. And I think that what's going on with the gut feeling is that our being, we are sensate and sensual, meaning sense oriented beings. There's information that we are collecting or processing on an other than conscious level that is richer in information than much of what we can consciously glean or process or integrate or even recognize. So for instance, if we look at communication, we know that over 90% of communication is nonverbal. And so if 90% or more of communication is nonverbal, what's getting communicated? Well, what we see is body posture. We see facial expression. We hear voice tonality. We respond to flushing of skin or change of breath or uh, so many different things that we are registering, but not on a conscious level. And that information is the information to a great degree that informs that sense that we call intuition or gut feeling. And it's not that it's coming out of nowhere, it's just coming out of a place that we're not overtly aware of. And I think that, again, culturally, we've been taught to poo poo our intuition and our gut feelings. The thing is that we have this wonderful GPS that alerts us to danger or to possibility. You know, we have this guidance system that we get to cultivate and pay greater attention to and listen to, maybe learn how to turn up the volume on this guidance system, because it's invaluable for keeping us out of trouble. And I can tell you that in the past, every time I've overridden it, that I can remember, I've gotten myself into deep trouble and drama that I could have avoided. So even upon meeting people, I now listen to my gut, and it's like, this person's a yes, this person's a no. They may be a wonderful person, but I used to feel like, oh well, I need to give everybody a chance. I need to entertain the possibility for someone, and I see this golden light within them, and I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. And I can tell you that when I've had a gut feeling and I've overridden that, I've paid the price every time. And so I think the key, though, is to be able to be tuned into the gut, to be tuned into the balanced self that is that inner wisdom and that inner knowing, and to be respectful of it, even when we don't have evidence necessarily that we're consciously aware of. So in this particular instance, the story that I told you, I was thrilled, first of all, that I had the courage, even though it was really, really uncomfortable, to speak to my partner, my co-founder in Sustainability Now, to speak my concern. And I was really grateful that he respected my feeling about it, even though I didn't have a lot of evidence. And then I was able to provide some evidence, and then after the fact, we got validation. So I'm sharing that because there's such a lot of challenging circumstances for all of us to be navigating these days, in terms of the things that we're exposed to as truth, or the things that we're told are untruths, that we need to find a way to navigate our way through. And I spoke about this the other day, and really said essentially the same thing, that it's our gut feeling that is going to, in my opinion, I think, is going to give us the truest guidance. And the more we can trust, and that it takes trust, because it's defying our conscious knowing sometimes. It's like, I really want to do this, but I'm kind of feeling like this isn't the time or the place or the people or the opportunity. When we get that gut feeling, we may never ever know why. And so it does truly take a leap of trust. But I'll bet, well, it's kind of a trust that's cultivated over time. You get to be consciously aware of when you get a gut feeling, and find out what happens when you don't follow it, and find out what happens when you do. I'm wondering if any of you have any kinds of experiences of this kind of situation, where you either followed or didn't follow your gut, and what the results were that you'd like to share. But I encourage you to pay attention to the signals that you're getting. This reminds me of My dad, actually, my dad was really deeply intuitive, even though he denied it because he considered himself a scientist and an he was he considered himself a rational person. And hi, Dido. Welcome. Dido says that's great that you listen to your gut and that your business partner listened to you too. I think so too, Dido. I can't tell you how thrilled I am. I think we really dodged a bullet. Seriously. Um, and also avoided lots of unnecessary drama or potential for it, and credibility and all kinds of other things. So I'm really delighted as well. Thank you for that. So anyway, I was talking about this story with my dad, and intuition comes on all kinds of levels. It's not necessarily just limited to having a gut feeling, but sometimes we have dreams that are precognitive, that are warnings. And Ross, hi, welcome. Thanks so much for being here. Staying in a relationship too long. Yes. Yes. That's another biggie. Oh, wow. Yes. But let me tell this story and then maybe we can talk about relationships. Um, so this story with my dad, uh, we were in Israel, and it was years and years ago. And my dad had a dream. We were going to go on a tour, and my dad had a dream that the bus that we were in got blown up, and on this tour. And so we were going to go to Masada. And what happened was he said, no, we're not going. And good for him, right? Mr. Rational, or Dr. Rational. He was a veterinarian. But he said, no, we're not going. And don't you know that tourist bus was right behind another tourist bus that was attacked the next day. And I believe some people were killed. I know that people were injured. I don't know for sure. I don't recall if people were killed. I was a kid at the time. But that's a massive, massive message when you get a dream about a precognitive, about a situation. Pay attention. Another story about that is a friend of mine uh, has a son who is very gifted and very intuitive, and he had a dream that they were on the highway. I think it was he who had the dream. It may have been she. Anyway, they were on the highway. There was this blue truck that came in front of them, and then there was a huge accident, and it was deadly. It was a deadly accident. That was the dream. And the next day, I think I'm having allergy stuff today. Sorry about that. Anyway, the next day they were driving. He had told her about the dream. They saw the blue truck, and because he had told her the dream, when she saw the blue truck, she got off the highway and later found out that there had been a massive accident with this whatever other vehicle that that was in the dream. So we have a sense that goes beyond our conscious knowing. And there are ways that we can cultivate that. And one of the ways is by paying attention to the messages that we get. So Ross says, staying in a relationship too long. So having a gut feeling about when to get out and often overriding that, right? And as a result, all kinds of drama can happen that could have been avoided. And I know that, especially in that context, leaving a relationship or overstaying in a relationship, there's so many things at play. Even though our gut is saying, get out, we might have a lot of issues around security and financial entanglement, and maybe there are children involved, and there are all kinds of excuses that we give ourselves for staying somewhere where where we're getting messages over and over to get out. And I just encourage you to be paying attention to those messages, because there's a knowing beyond our knowing, and we do have the ability to touch into that. We do. And I think that by touching into that, we save ourselves a lot of drama. I just remembered another story, and this one might be convoluted, and it's not as obvious as the others in terms of consequence, but I'm going to tell it anyway. Um, I think it was about 2 years ago, somewhere around 2 years ago. Uh, I I do muscle testing, and that's a way to communicate with the other than conscious. At least that's the way that I use it, and I use it in doing session work for my clients to help guide things, and I do it. I use it for guiding myself in doing sessions on myself. Anyway, um, I was I was driving, and while I'm driving, it's a meditative state to a great degree, and so sometimes I used to do session work on people, like remote kind of things, uh, and I was working on this person, doing this remote sort of session, and I was driving, and then I muscle tested to just get an idea of whether, I wanted to go grocery shopping, and I muscle tested to see if that was a good idea or not. I got an emphatic no. I asked every which way from Sunday. It was no, 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 no. And I said, well, how about if I go here, go there? And I just kept getting the message, go home now. And so I did. I went home, and I went home, and I was carrying packages out of my car, and I put them up on my porch, and I went to step up onto the cement porch, and I tripped over my feet, and I fell and hit my head on the cement pretty hard. I ended up with a huge black eye, and I think I gave myself a concussion, and I sat there and I did healing work on myself to be able to relieve the pain and the trauma and all that of it. But my feeling about it, like, this message was so emphatic. The person that I had been working on had a brain injury. And I think what the reason that I needed to get home so quickly, and this is just belief or superstition or whatever, or my gut feeling, was that I had sort of attracted all this energy of accident, and by going home, I avoided a car accident and instead had this fall accident. Now, I that could be just superstition and my own little bit of crazy, but it just felt like that was really what was so, is that by going home, by following the messages I was getting and going home, I avoided something much, much, much worse. And who knows, if it had been a car accident, I could have injured somebody else. So there was something about this energy of being really engaged with this person with the brain injury, and then I went and injured myself, which was really interesting. So yeah, I am just here to encourage you to be paying attention to the signals, the knowing that you have, and not to override it, not to disregard it, to at least listen and realize that there's a greater intelligence that incorporates a lot more information than what we believe are rational, um, uh, uh, what we believe can be perceived consciously. You know, there's a lot more information available to us, and rationalize is a word that we should really take to heart, because very often when we have these senses about things, we use our rational thinking to override it and rationalize and justify our our conscious deliberate rational decisions. And when we do that, we we close ourselves off to the richer store of intelligence that's available to us. So the other thing I want to say before wrapping up for today is that we're talking about trusting our gut. Well, part of trusting your gut is making your gut healthy. And the way that we eat, the things that we consume, impacts the chemistry of our gut, right? And that's where this intelligence is. Actually, there's all kinds of neural connections in our gut. There really truly is a brain in the gut. I mean, it doesn't look like the brain, but if you look up brain in the gut, you'll find out that there's really quite a lot going on there that is intelligent, and that is synthesizing all kinds of information. So creating health in our gut is really, really critical to being able to navigate the world effectively. And gut health impacts all kinds of things, including um, mental health, depression, anxiety, all kinds of other things can be all kinds of uh, undesirable emotions and such, and experiences can be mitigated when our gut is actually in balance instead of imbalanced. So it's kind of a weird thing to say that for brain health and intuitive health, we want to cultivate gut health, but there's so much research that validates that this is in fact true. And you can find all kinds of folks that have corroborating anecdotal experience as well. So that's just another incentive for us to take better care of ourselves and our bodies, and to be conscious and deliberate about food choices and health choices and all of that. So we are a whole being, and every part of us is impacted by every other part of us. So we get to look at the bigger picture when it comes to our mental, emotional, and physical health, and to see that it's all connected. So, with that, I have so much love, so much compassion for you, and such gratitude to share these times together every day during the week, every weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. I go live here on the Enlightened World Facebook page, Enlightened World Network, and I enjoy having you join me and invite you to join the other people in the community at Enlightened World for wonderful programming. And I hope to see you again here soon. And until then, lots and lots of love.